Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's April 20th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. This will wrap our week up. No chart lesson on Friday, so this will be our last one for the week. But we'll be back again to do it Monday. But let's talk about today. A nice uptrend today. Really turned into a strong uptrend late morning, mid to late morning. And there weren't a whole lot of entries, but if you caught any of these, you probably did pretty well. Most of them would have had a runner. Most of any of these right in here. Um, so it looked like it was going to be a range day early on, but we bounced here and continued to go higher. We didn't get a confirmation till here, and we really never came back to that line until after 2 o'clock, so it was all uphill after that. So you really needed to use these shorter term trend lines as well to help you out today. So the brown one really, other than this one trade, didn't give you a whole lot of help, honestly. It really might have even confused you if you saw it, because generally you would expect prices to turn down here, but we kept going higher. And when we did go higher here, I would have looked for maybe this to be a midline and had a measured move, although we didn't quite get that either. So maybe this is just an overshoot. That's the way I'm going to look at it. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't change anything. Let me back out a little more, make it easier to see. But you had to be patient today and just kind of sit and wait. You definitely don't want to go long out of this. This looked like it was going to be a breakout pullback long, but this shows you the danger of going long at the very high of the day. I mean, you would have got trapped there. So it looked like it was going to be a reversal and turned out to be a range day with all that resistance across there, like this was a failed break. And notice your reversal pattern here. You got a new high, first entry, a second leg down, and a second entry. It fails, and you got a nice bearish bar. So I like going short there. Generally, I wouldn't have minded adding on here, but by the time this sets up, you're just going sideways, and you got a real tight congestion, so I wouldn't enter again. This one worked out fine, but I definitely, and this one would have worked out fine, but I wouldn't re-enter there. Turns out you get a little failed break lower. This is too bearish to enter, and this one is nice and bullish, but by that time you're going long right back into these highs. You don't want to do that, so just sit tight and wait. And you probably should have drawn this line off here, and if you drag it up, you see it fits pretty well up here, so that's a good start. That maybe this is the trend line. But notice your new low, and then you get a first entry short, second entry short. It fails, so I like going long there. It's also a breakout pullback long as well, but the big thing is that trap, and notice how we test this 2 more times and then it goes higher. So that's a nice little setup, and then it just kind of reverses again. You don't really get a good reversal pattern on this one, and plus you'd have to be a little bit leery of this trend line until we figure out what happens here. But we came up short, so you figure we may overshoot here. But notice you got this little trend line working down. You get a close outside, move to a new low, and it bounces right off that trend line. This bar, this is a second entry here, but this bar is not bullish enough. This one is. So the way I recommend entering this is still your stop still has to go below this bar, but let prices break above this bar and drop a limit order back where your original entry would have been, or maybe even try a tick better than that. You probably would have gotten left behind if you tried to be too conservative with it. So probably just a limit order where we originally would have been on this signal bar. And again, it turns out to be a pretty good trade. It comes back, just enough to take out the break-even stops on any runners. And you might have considered entering here, but it's right into that double top. So I think you're better off to wait on that reversal pattern, which comes here. There's your failed second entry short. I like going long right there. And it's really almost a repeat pattern of this one. So they look very similar. So I like going long right there. And if you caught this one, you could have ridden this up all day. But it gives you another chance to enter right here. It comes back and confirms this shorter term trend line. You do have to go long at the high of the day, But this is right at the midline, and we're probably headed back to this upper side this time. And so I like this one all the same. It's close to, you could argue for it to be green just because it's right into the high of the day. But by now, this trend's starting to look pretty strong. And this is your first leg, and you want to be thinking about a measured leg. And look where that measured leg is. It's up here at this line, and so that's, you're shooting for at least that, most likely. And so I liked entering on this one. Again, it could go either way, but I did like it just because it's also it's a double test of this trend line. It confirms it the whole bit. So there's a lot of reasons to like that trade, but the one thing you got to be concerned about is you're going long in the eye of the day. So it is a concern. But if you're understanding, if you found this brown channel and you understand it, then you figure prices are probably going here. So it's probably worth the risk, because it's starting to look like a pretty good trend day. We go up, we actually get an overshoot, and you get a little double test here. So you might have considered going long right there, but again, you've had an overshoot, you're going long into the high of the day. But notice you made that low, and then you came back and double tested it, and so this could be a midline, and maybe we're going to get a measured move to the other side. Generally, the way you do that is just draw this line straight up, move it up, copy it, and move it up there. But you can see we never got there, so it didn't really come into play. But that's what you'd be thinking at that point. So that may give you enough desire to go long there. Personally, since you're not even back to the EMA and you've been away so long, I say skip it. Would have worked, but you're better off to probably wait on this one, because notice you got a little trend working down. You get a close outside, move to a new low, and you get a second entry long right there. And that one really took off. You may not have even had time to catch that one, but if you did, it turns out to be a pretty nice trade. But again, it's green. I'm not making it blue. It is back to the EMA, but it kind of pushed through a little bit, but it's not back to the midline. It's not back to the trend line. We've had what looks like maybe an overshoot, but at this point, you're probably still thinking, hey, maybe this is a midline here, and we may be heading up. So this is why you don't try to pick tops on a day like this. If you tried to go short here, you would have got your scalp out of it, but too many times you're going to end up like this right here, and it's going to keep going, and you're going to get stopped out. But another reason to like this one is it's a double test of this level right here, 1, 2, and it's a triple bottom. So there's some reasons to like that trade. You can see that right there. And we actually closed a little higher than we had previous. You can see that even though we made an equal low down here, those closes are telling you something. And we closed much higher here. So I really like that trade, but it's still, I've got to leave it green. And then we're working down. There's another reversal pattern here that's tempting, but that late in the day, I mean, if you want to, you could take that trade. But that late in the day, I would skip it most likely. But you could go short there, because we did have a big overshoot. You got your reversal pattern. It is into some fairly strong support across there. But that confirms that trend line. It is a reversal pattern. There's some reasons to like that one. And it would have worked. So if you did take that one, it's not necessarily wrong. But personally, in myself, I wouldn't take it that late in the day. Going into the 2 o'clock hour. Not when we've been up that strongly all day. Because you never know when you're going to get trapped trying to think you're outsmarting everybody else, and then you actually get outsmarted yourself. So something to think about. But yeah, not a lot of trades today, not a lot of entries anyway. Seems like we've had a lot of this the last few days, is that we get a lot of price action, some good price action, but there's not a lot of safe entries. So if you felt like you're struggling and maybe having to be patient and wait on entries. Don't feel, it's not just you, it's the actual price action. So um, it gets like this sometimes. So just be patient, wait on the setups. They're here. This is not that hard of a day, really. The hard part about today is being patient and waiting on the right setup, and having to just go long periods without any. I mean, from maybe just before 9 o'clock to about 11 o'clock, a lot of action. Prior to that and after that, not much. So, and that's why I like to trade the mornings, because generally your best moves happen before lunchtime. And doesn't mean you won't get any afternoon moves, because you can see right here we got a big afternoon move. But your best entries and setups and price action is going to occur generally before noon on most average days. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm not going to beat around the bush today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We'll be done for the week with our chart lessons, and we'll be back Monday. But I'm out here for today. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.